So, your friend? Well, they just bought a Lamborghini, and there is absolutely no denying that it looks freaking sweet. But he's getting negative miles to the gallon, and good luck fitting any type of groceries in that frunk. Worst of all, he paid a freaking fortune for it. And don't get me wrong, supercars, they are amazing. And they definitely have a place in this world. But if you need something a wee bit more practical, we're here to help, because we put together a list of the best daily drivable sports cars that you can get on the cheap. CHEAP. And that's one of the best words in the dictionary, or in my vocabulary. Anyway, this way you can get to and from school, the office, or even the track on the weekends and not break the bank. And if you're new here, my name's Brad Danger, this is Ideal Cars, so please subscribe and turn on that notification bell because we're coming with new content pretty much every single day. All right, buckle up and let's go. Now, since you're probably subscribed, we're hoping... Okay, real quick, I want to thank this thing, which helps me every single time that Tina gets a little bit moody and ends up throwing the check engine light. And luckily Fixed is the sponsor of today's video, because when that confusing check engine light comes on, I start to worry. By plugging in my little Fixed here, which works on any car made from 1996 and later, I get real-time diagnostics sent straight to my phone, which is pretty much magic. And by getting those codes, I can save time and money getting my car back on the road. Right now, you can get 67% off of a Fixed module. So for less than 20 bucks, you'll know all the issues when it comes to anything that goes wrong with your car. And hey, check it out. It's another Jeep. They need a fix too. So click the link down in the description or the first comment and snag one before they're gone. Thanks Fixed for sponsoring today's video, and support the sponsors that support Ideal. All right, back to the show. We're hoping that you know quite a bit about the first car on this list. We talk about it all of the time, and we even did a video on the entire history of it. And it's basically the best value you can get for a sports car ever. It's the Nissan 350Z. How would you like to join the ranks of the Drift Kings from Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift? That's right. I'm talking about that blacked out 350Z with those custom graphics and Veilside body kit. That exact car was actually listed on the one and only Auto Trader back in 2017 for just over 6 figures. But since this video is all about cheap daily drivers and not 6-figure movie icons, let's talk about how you can get your own fair lady for a whole lot less. We found a slick red 2003 350Z with under 100,000 miles on the clock, and here is the best part. It's only $6 grand. That's a hell of a deal. And the Z isn't just a great sports car. It's a pretty solid daily driver too. It only has not 1, but 2 seats, and the gas mileage isn't incredible at around 25 miles per gallon on the highway, but that VQ engine. Can we take a moment just to thank the gods for the VQ engine? Well, it kind of does sound like a trumpet, but it does sound amazing, and it is bulletproof as long as you don't do something like, I don't know, turbocharge it. It really is honestly hard to find a better combination of fun and reliability than a 350Z. And our friend Jack Ultramotive built a Forza cover car and actually just sold it, and I gotta say I was super impressed with that build, and it made me like the 350Z even more. And while Nissan, well, is some people's cup of tea, it's not everybody's. So this next car on this list is a car that everybody just kind of forgot about, which I really don't understand why. It comes from Deutschland, and it's powered by a legendary inline 6. The Z3 seems to get left out of the conversation over and over and over again. And for some reason, I just can't really seem to figure out why. Sure, it may be on the outside just look like a fancy Miata, but if I'm being honest, I think it looks a whole lot better and a lot more classy. And that inline 6 is way more fun than the anemic 4-banger in the Miata. Now, the facelifted 1999 model even gets 27 miles to the gallon, which beats out most every other car on this list. And that's while still churning out 170 horses out of the 2.5 liter 6-cylinder. Or if you bump up 0.3 liters, you get the 2.8 liter with 193 horses. And that is a whole lot of fun. Plus, the Z3 has dynamite driving dynamics that makes you feel like you're on the ring, even when you're just going to the local store to buy your girl a ring. which is probably something you should do if you've been hanging out with her this whole pandemic. Anywho, the 1999 model also got some nannies like electronic stability control, which, you know, are less fun, but probably are better if you're gonna be driving your Z3 to and from, well, wherever you go every single day. So, what did we do? We found you a killer deal with just under 50,000 miles on it for $6 grand. And that is a killer deal for what's bound to be considered a classic in just a few short years. Remember how I've been preaching about the 996, 911? Well, I think this E85 Z3 is the next one on the list. Let's go stateside with an American classic. And this car, well, it just makes a darn good daily driver. Just, watch out for those pedestrians. And before we get into this next vehicle, which is a burnout machine, I wanna let you know about the Ideal Car Strategies and the free webinar that I put a ton of time and effort into about the 7 secrets to make money while driving your very own ideal car. Yes, it is about 35 minutes, but it is well worth your time. So click the link up here or the link down in the description if you're interested in learning more. The Mustang has gained a reputation as a crowd killer. And that's mostly because people like that gnarly V8 and just feel the need to show off their straight pipe soundtrack, leaving every single car meet. But driven like a responsible human, and the Mustang GT can be one of the best, great, cheap daily drivers ever. Say that 5 times fast. You can argue that the Mustang isn't really a sports car, quote unquote. But the thing is, if you're shopping 350Zs and old BMWs, you probably are gonna be cross-shopping them with Mustangs and Camaros, especially if you're using the strategies. And that's because you're after the best performance car per dollar. And it's really hard to beat the Mustang in that category, especially the new Edge Mustangs of the early 2000s, which have gotten ridiculously cheap. I'm talking like a clean one here for like 8 grand. And it's a drop top, which for those nice summer days with the girlfriend or your future girlfriend, it's gonna be a riot. Plus, since it's got that oh so reliable modular 4.6 liter V8, not 2 but 4 seats and a pretty spacious trunk, you can use it every single day and not feel bad. What if you were willing to take a little bit bigger risk and pick up a car Top Gear tried to argue was actually a piece of collectible art? Well, the Mazda RX-8 just entered the chat. Pause the video, get your Doritos out, and start snacking, baby, because we're looking at a sporty little Japanese driver that's got Mazda's legendary Wankel rotary engine under the hood. The Wankel is compact, the Wankel is powerful, and the Wankel makes such a sweet noise. And if that's not enough to stir up a burning desire for an RX-8, you should know that these cars offer an incredibly comfortable drive. And they were also only offered with a 6-speed manual transmission, which if you're trying to save the manuals, join the club with our best-selling Ideal T. Sure, I'm with you. The gas mileage is nothing to write home about, and you are going to become very familiar with the term apex seals. But take the RX-8 on a few windy roads and you'll understand exactly what the hype is all about. Plus, when you can get an 05 model with under 90,000 miles on it for just $7K, there's really nothing to complain about. And yes, all that money that you just saved will be going straight to repairs, but you'll have a badass JDM underdog in your garage. But if you want something a little bit more reliable, which I know most of you guys do, our next car is a high-revving luxury Honda that's perfect for daily commutes and cutting loose on the weekend. Now, I think we've covered a lot of cool cars by now, and really, you couldn't pick a bad one to put in your garage. And if you've liked any of them so far on the list, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. But for me, I think the one that I'm gonna see in my dreams is the Pontiac Solstice GXP, baby. I mean, just look at the body styling on this thing. It was penned by a god. And to think that Pontiac, which isn't even around anymore, could have just made a basic roadster like everybody else, but instead, they decided to make this kind of weird, kind of incredible looking convertible. And guess what else? They threw a freaking turbo in it. Much like the Cobalt SS, it's got a miniature little 2-liter 4, but get that turbo involved and you're looking at 260 ponies. This was also GM's first ever direct injected gas engine to be sold in the USA. What did you think I was talking about? Now, this car also sold as the Saturn Sky Redline. And since Saturn is now deceased, that makes this car even more rare. So let's put this straight. You're getting a unique car that packs a serious punch, and it's a piece of history too. Unfortunately, you're getting only 2 seats and a negative storage space, but who cares about that? But let's look at the pros, because on a sunny day, you can floor it to work with a turbo. Yes, turbocharged acceleration. Plus, you can drop the top. I mean, what would be more fun than that? And a Solstice GXP like the one we found on Auto Tempest with under 100,000 miles for just 7 grand? I think we might have found ourselves a winner. They're just kind of hard to find. So start looking now and you might find one in a few months. And I want to stay in America for this next pick, and I don't think you know what's coming up next, because we want to add some back seats and add 4 more cylinders, and we want to go fishing. Now, let's take you back to 1993 when GM dropped the Camaro Z28. And at that time, they made this extremely bold statement that the heartbeat of America is today's Chevrolet. If you were to ask me, I'd still like to hear the Z28's heart beating in 2021. Because beating inside this American classic is a 5.7 liter pushrod V8 known as the LT1. Now, you could choose a Borg-Warner 6-speed manual, which is what I do, you know, to save the manuals. And these bad boys were built on the F-body platform. Plus, they had T-tops. And even today, I think that they've aged incredibly well. Even if they do have the nickname Catfish because, well, yeah, they kind of look like a fish. And so, well, what's this gonna cost you? After looking pretty hard, I found a Z28 that was driven under 2,000 miles for less than 5 grand. And that straight up is a time capsule for a bargain. Now, I wanna transition from rear wheel drive to a German with all wheel drive. I'm talking Quattro, baby. And Audi, not any, knows a thing or two about going fast. After all, they are one of the biggest names in rally. So it's no surprise that their itty bitty Roadster makes a great everyday sports car. Born in 2005 with the immaculate Quattro all-wheel drive system, the TT has always been a blast to drive. And not too bad to look at either. I mean, I wouldn't kick it out of the garage. And the Audi Quattro system made its first appearance in rally racing and snagged 4 WRC championships for the brand. Then Audi started tossing all that technology into its street cars. And guess what? We're so glad that they did, because you can pick up a 2000 Audi TT Quattro for under 7 grand. And while you might not have unlimited power at your disposal, that all-wheel drive system will keep you planted on the road like nothing else. What's that sound? Is that VTEC, baby? Huh, must be time for that honorable mention. And I can already hear you guys saying, oh no, a front wheel drive car? Well, that's why it's an honorable mention. But honestly, I think the Integra absolutely deserves to be called a sports car. In Japan, the RSX is called the DC5 Integra. And when they washed up on the US shores in 2001, they were wearing an Acura badge instead and called the RSX. And not one, but 2 models were available right from the get-go. You had the base RSX, and then you also had the Type S. And let me tell you, the Type S is definitely the one that you're gonna want. While the base RSX got 160 horsepower and a 5-speed manual or an auto tragic, the Type S bumped that up to 200 horses and only came with a 6-speed manual. Like I said, the Type S was designed for the practical car guy. It had 4 seats in a surprisingly spacious interior, got over 30 miles to the gallon, and has world-famous handling characteristics. Now, we found a Type S with under 85,000 miles on it for 9 grand. And for a corner carving, gas-saving coupe with Honda reliability, I'd say that's an ideal deal. And while that deal might seem too good to be true, this next one is a no-brainer. Like, if you didn't have a brain, this would be the car that you would buy. Because what is the best cheap daily driver sports car? Miata is always the answer. Wait, Miata is always the answer. M-I-A-T-A. I just realized that. The Miata was first unveiled at the Chicago Auto Show back in 1989. And this one car completely changed the world of sports cars. And it just pretty much set a new driving standard, because Miatas are just pure bliss to drive. They're fun, they're reliable, and they're pretty easy on the eyes. And best of all, they're affordable. You can pick up a 92 NA Miata with under 100,000 miles on the clock for just 6 grand. Then just drop the top and drive down the California coastline to your heart's content, all while getting 34 miles to the gallon. Miatas are undeniably one of the best bang for buck cars in the world as sports cars. Unfortunately, it's out. So it's not necessarily that that easy to find one that hasn't been trashed yet. But we think it's worth putting in the work to grab one. And of the best cheap daily driver sports cars on the market right now, which one is your favorite, or did we miss one? Let us know in the comments below. And also, if you enjoyed the vid, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell, because I'm Brad Danger. This is Ideal Cars. Thank you for watching. All of your support helps us out so much, and it means the world to all of us here at Ideal. And as always, keep living the ideal lifestyle.